Giving all praises to the Most High, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in the ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakak Radash. Double honors to the elders of GMS who taught us his truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life and freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, which would be the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians who make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel, according to scripture and according to prophecy. But the elect would be 1/3 of the Israelites who are returning back to the Most High during these last days to receive salvation, while the 2/3 of Israel who don't turn back to the Most High be destroyed with America. And that's all according to prophecy. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. I think I'm going to title this lesson, "The Military is Now in Baltimore, Chicago, and Brooklyn." Again, now the military is in Chicago, Baltimore, and Brooklyn. Something like that. And that's all based off a promise that Trump made a week or two ago. He promised to send the military to these cities. And that's what Trump has pretty much been doing since he's been in office this second time around. He's been gradually and strategically deploying the military throughout America. And he's deploying the military throughout America for different reasons. So he say, to enforce immigration laws, to enforce deportations. The newest one is to clean up the homeless and the drug addicts off the streets. The most recent is now he wants to clean up the crime, get the criminals off the streets. But again, that's all a cover-up to deploy his military throughout America, because the ultimate goal is martial law, to lock down the streets of America. But let's get this first video. And this is a statement that Trump made when he announced that he was going to send the military to Washington, D.C.
Oakland and push to send National Guard to U.S. cities.
We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is. We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem. And then you have, of course, Baltimore and Oakland. We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick.
See, he said we starting off strongly with D.C., but he did mention them other cities. And it's happening just like the scriptures said it will happen.
Very quickly, as they say.
Trump calls out Oakland and push to send National Guard to U.S. cities.
So that's the point. So he mentioned Los Angeles. Really, the National Guard, the military, was already in Los Angeles before it was in Washington, D.C. Because remember, they had the massive anti-ICE and the deportation protests and riots for a couple weeks over there. And really, it's still protests going on over there in Los Angeles. It's just the media is not covering it. And I believe the National Guard got deployed there back in June, and they've been there ever since. And just for a quick reminder, this is what Oakland looks like. This is what Los Angeles looks like right now. That's old news because this is going back towards the beginning of summer. But let's get this video again right here. Then we're going to start covering these other cities.
We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at Los Angeles, how bad it is.
And we showed Los Angeles. And what's different about Los Angeles, the National Guard got deployed there because of immigration. You know, to force deport undocumented illegal immigrants back to Mexico, South America, etc. That's why the National Guard was deployed there, in which we've been showing that this is a war against the 12 tribes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And it began with the so-called Latinos, so-called Guatemalans, Mexicans, Venezuelans. ICE came down hard on them first. So that's why the National Guard was deployed. What we talking about Los Angeles. So again, the military was deployed to Los Angeles to come up against so-called Latinos. The reason why the National Guard was deployed to Washington, D.C., it wasn't for the so-called Latinos. It was to get the so-called homeless people, the so-called drug addicts off the streets, you know, the drug dealers, criminals, etc. So who they really want to come after now would be the so-called Negroes, African Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians. And Trump said that they would expand what's going on in Washington, D.C. to other cities like Oakland, New York, Baltimore, and Chicago. Just so happen, them four cities are predominantly black, so-called predominantly black. And also they have so-called black mayors. So Trump is indirectly trying to come up against the so-called Negroes now by going after predominantly black cities. And he's doing it in the name of justice. You know, he say to fight crime. Also, too, the four cities we just mentioned with so-called black mayors, all those cities are experiencing a drop in the crime rate. Like Washington, D.C., their crime rate is at a 30-year low. The lowest that crime has been in 30 years. Yet he still sent the military there. And now he's federalizing the police of other cities instead of sending the military there also. But again, back to the point, the military was deployed to Los Angeles in the name of immigration and deportation. But now he's using the military to fight against homelessness and drug addicts and criminals here in America, which is why it's being deployed to them other cities. So there's a shift. The target and the focus is not necessarily shifting off the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Mexicans, but the target is more so expanding with their sights set on the so-called Negroes, so-called African Americans. We're part of that target now. That's why I say he want to send the military to clean up homelessness, drug addicts, and the criminals. So there's a shift in who they're going after. Still going after the Northern Kingdom, it's just the target has expanded. Now, he said a few cities. Let's play this again. Come on, YouTube. the hell these niggas got going on? Bear with me 1 second. And just something to mention while we pull this back out. What Trump is doing is not going to turn back. Once the military is deployed, they're not going to turn back. They out there for good. So if the military is in your city, you start seeing a military presence out there, they out there for good.
Trump calls out Oakland and push to send National Guard to U.S. cities.
We have other cities also that are bad, very bad. You look at Chicago, how bad it is. You look at...
He said Chicago. Let's see what's going on in Chicago. Because this was what? A week ago that he said that? Let's look at Chicago. The military out in Chicago, y'all, think life a joke.
The military is here, shorty. The military is here. They on the streets. The military is here. The military really here, shorty. Y'all thought life was a joke. Y'all think everything...
Yeah, so the military's in Chicago, and that was pretty quick because Trump just said that he would send it about a week ago, and they already here. So things are moving pretty fast.
Los Angeles, how bad it is.
We saw Los Angeles, which they've been out there.
We have other cities that are very bad. New York has a problem.
New York. Let's see what's New York looking like.
Yeah. Yo, it's a rat moving around. Look at these niggas. They got the choppers out. Whoa.
They got that shit blowing.
They got that shit crazy, man.
MTA now, so I gotta...
Hey, you gotta be clean. Squeaky clean. Hey, man. And congratulations on that MTA, man. Oh, man. Love you, my nigga. For real, bro. Yeah. Yo, it's a rat moving around. Look at these niggas. They got the choppers out. Whoa.
They got that shit blowing.
They got that shit crazy, man.
MTA now, so I gotta...
Hey, you gotta be clean. Squeaky clean.
So you see that military, they got law enforcement flooding the streets on foot, helicopters above them. Best believe if the military is not there yet, it's on the way. If not already there. Now Trump called out another city.
Of course, Baltimore and Oakland.
Baltimore. Let's see what's Baltimore looking like. First DC, now in Baltimore, Trump is not playing games. And that's what the scriptures say. He's going to come down with great wrath.
It's incredible. I'm telling you, I used to use the word incompetent. Now I just call them stupid. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid.
Man, how the fuck I'm gonna get out?
Yeah, so Trump is federalizing all these different law enforcement agencies throughout America while sending in the National Guard and other military agencies.
It's the level of stupidity.
But yeah, we showed the clip. Trump said that he would send the military to these cities. 1 week later, they already there. And that's pretty much the whole point of this lesson, to show that things are moving. And see, that's what's wrong with Israel. They see these things on the internet or on TV, and they become desensitized to it. They think that it's part of, they think because it's not in their city, they're not going to be affected by what Trump is doing. But what Trump is doing is going to come to every city. And prophecy ain't something you can just sit by and it's going to pass you. No, Bible prophecy is going to involve everybody. Nobody will be left out. So we're going to get this in the book of Psalms 55:21. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Cause listen to Trump.
We don't even mention that anymore. They're so far gone. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to lose our cities over this. And this will go further. We're starting very strongly with D.C., and we're going to clean it up real quick, very quickly, as they say.
Trump.
He said we're going to clean it up real quick. We're going to start real strong with D.C. That's his words, being smoother than butter. Seeing like he's doing a service for the American people. It says, but what? War's in his heart. Because he sent the military, under the cover of, we got to deport these immigrants. We got to get undocumented immigrants off the streets. That they making America unsafe. Yeah, that sounded good. His words were smoother than butter, but really, that was a war against the 12 tribes that was beginning. They say they want to get the homeless off the streets, the drug addicts off the streets. They want to get the criminals off the streets. That sound good. His words smoother than butter, but it's really war in his heart, because who he said his focus on now would be the so-called Negroes. And not to mention, September 3rd, that's when the TPS is ending for Haitian immigrants. So they about to crack down hard, going after the Haitians, which just so happen to be part of the lost 12 tribes of Israel. So again, this is a war against the 12 tribes. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So he gonna speak a good game. He gonna speak smoothly, but it says what? His words are drawn swords. The thing about a sword, you have to point it at something. It has a target. So when Trump speak these things, we're gonna make the streets of America safe. We're gonna make America great again. That sounds good, but he has a people in mind that he's gonna target. Because again, a sword has a target. And what they speak when they pass these executive orders and House bills, they're passing it to target a certain group of people. Just so happen it's targeting the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But verse 22, cast thy burden upon the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. So Trump, Esau about to make a lot of moves. And ultimately, we got to cast all our worries on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. And pretty much the elect, they're not going to be overthrown. The elect, we're going to go through some hard times, but the elect is not going to be moved. So as we continue to the book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 20, when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, and this is not the physical city of Jerusalem, but the people of Jerusalem. And that's what we see. Oh, damn it. And that's what we see here. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, not the land of Jerusalem, but the people of Jerusalem. And where will we be? Here in America. So the cities of America, especially these inner cities, especially predominantly so-called black cities, Chicago, Baltimore, Oakland, Los Angeles, where Issachar at, that would be likened to Jerusalem because the people of Jerusalem are there. So when you should see Jerusalem, but the people of Jerusalem surrounded by armies. They've been surrounding us this whole year. It started against the so-called Mexicans with the ICE raids and deportations. Now it's being expanded to get the homelessness, the drug addicts, and the criminals off the street. And when they say drug addicts, homeless and criminals, they speaking about the so-called blacks. So he's telling you that it's about deportation and undocumented immigrants and crime and homelessness, but who they really after is the 12 tribes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians. And when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, that's taking place now. That's why the police force is being federalized. That's why ICE has been militarized, received a whole military budget, $150+ billion. That's why the National Guard is being deployed. Jerusalem is being surrounded by armies, and they're going into so-called black and Mexican cities, mainly where we at. Then you will know that the time of its destruction has arrived. So you know that a great slaughter is about to be on our people. That's what's being set up. And, you know, once upon a time, I used to think that Luke 21:20 would sort of happen at a faster rate. Like it'll happen over a couple days. You see him move all this military equipment. But no, it's drawn out. It's happening over months. It's been happening this whole year. And it's not going to stop with these cities. Other cities next would be like Oakland, like probably Philly, probably spots out here in the South, Dallas, somewhere in Mississippi, Alabama. Hey, they're not going to stop here. It says, then those in Judea must flee to the hills. So again, this would be the people of Jerusalem, not in actual Judea. And what does it mean to flee to the hills? You got the saying, run to the hills. Pretty much flee the city. Those in Jerusalem, which represents the city, must get out. And those out in the country should not return to the city. So the Lord is going to allow certain of us to escape on foot. Part of us escaping is we knowing what's happening. This is not about cleaning up crime, making America safe again. No, this is about the strategic elimination of the 12 tribes. So now we're going to jump to the book of Isaiah 59:19, because this is what we beginning to see. So shall they fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. And that's what we see here throughout these different cities. This is the enemy coming in like a flood. Now, when you consider a real flood, you got the smaller waves that come first. This is that smaller wave before that big tsunami come, and that's what's coming. That's the enemy coming in like a flood. They're going to be on foot. They're going to be in the air. They're going to have drones, airplanes, helicopters, robots, everything. And the thing about a flood, there's nowhere to hide, because we got Luke 21:20 when it says, those in Judea must flee to the hills, Jerusalem must get out, everybody in the country shall not return to the city. Well, just because you make it out the city don't mean you're safe. You know, because again, the enemy going to come in like a flood. The thing about a flood, it gets everywhere. There's not one spot that a flood doesn't miss. So wherever you run off to, Esau, his military, gonna be there too. Not to mention, we in a time of judgment, so people gonna be getting judged by the teeth of wild beasts. Why you think all them grizzly bears left Yellowstone? Yeah, they leaving it, and you know, because they can sense danger. But through the spirit, that's the Lord really relocating them bears to strategically have them set up throughout America. So again, yeah, the bears left Yellowstone because they sense danger, probably with the volcano. But in the spirit, that's the Lord moving them bears around. Because the scriptures say the wild beasts shall change their places. So the Lord had the bears flee Yellowstone to be posted up somewhere else to bring judgment at a later time. But yeah, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him. So we see Esau coming in like a flood. So we in them days that standard about to get lifted pretty soon. And when you look up this phrase, shall lift up a standard, pretty much the Lord gonna make a way for us to escape. How we gonna escape is gonna play out differently for different individuals. But expect all kind of help from heaven and miracles and strange things to happen for the elect. Lord wouldn't be part of that. But yeah, Jerusalem is being surrounded by armies, all kind of law enforcement, ICE, military agencies, because the enemy's going to come in like a flood. They've been setting up shop for a long time. Now Trump is finding any kind of reason to deploy the National Guard. Like for DC, they literally deployed the National Guard for homelessness. But let's continue. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16. We're going to start at verse 68. And I did sort of skip a video, but we showed it in the previous lesson. But we're going to let it play. It says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you." What's that great multitude? Esau, his military, his law enforcement, ICE, these militias. Kindled over who? The 12 tribes. And why is that burning wrath kindled over us? Because Trump is making us the face of crime. Pretty much saying that we the reason that America is destroyed. We the reason that America is not great. That so-called Mexicans taking advantage of the system. You know, so-called Guatemalans and Venezuelans, they getting free health care and government assistance. So-called black people, we make up the homeless and the drug addicts and the criminals. So yeah, behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. They shall take away certain of you. See that? They shall take away certain of you. And that certain of you will be the 12 tribes. Because that's who they've been snatching up all year. I still yet to see them go to Chinatown or to start messing with the Japanese. And then remember, early 2000s, the face of crime and terror was the so-called Arabs. The same people who supposedly brought down the Twin Towers. If it happened like they said it happened, you would think they would be after the so-called Arabs first. But again, that's why I say, and shall take away certain of you. Now, certain of you is in 12 tribes. Because look who they snatching up right here on video. 12 tribes. Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. It says, and feed you, being idle. So a lockdown is coming. Being idle, meaning not moving. So a lockdown is coming. Which in DC, they already got a curfew. That's a soft form of a lockdown. They got checkpoints. So now you got to watch how you move, how far you move, how often you move. That's you being idle. And feed you being idle with things offered unto idols. And ultimately, what they're going to feed you is the RFID market chip. It says, and they that consent unto them should be held in derision, and a reproach and trodden underfoot. So they're gonna force all kind of things on you. You just gotta not comply. Now they asking for your ID. Just show your damn ID. It's good to say, agree quickly with thine adversary. But when they start forcing you to take things inside the body, hey, don't consent. It says, for this shall be in every place and in the next cities. See that? That's happening. It said, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities. Then when you look at these clips, they in the next cities right now. Trump says Chicago, Baltimore, New York was next. They already there now. So they gonna be in the next cities next. Whatever cities they say. But besides that, it said they should be in every place. They started with the bigger cities, the metropolis type cities, and it's going to trickle down to the smaller cities. There should be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection. That's a great uprising upon those that fear the Lord. And it was Israel who was commanded to fear the Lord. That's who that great insurrection is going to be against. No, not only the military, but your local law enforcement. You got ICE. And ICE ain't nothing but a bunch of failed American citizens. They lost their job, they've been laid off, now they go apply for ICE. So ICE ain't nothing, it ain't made up of nothing but a bunch of American losers. And then you're gonna have other militias and stuff. They all gonna gang up against the 12 tribes. They shall be like madmen sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. So this was coming. And see, people playing, trying to cuss out the ICE agents. They trying to punk the police officers. The only reason they ain't went hard on you people yet, because the internet is still up. People still can record footage on an electronic device. But wait till there's a cyber attack where there's no internet. The telecommunication towers are down, internet towers are down, or a blackout, or any other kind of crisis like what happened in New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. Esau was out there getting downed in, taking women, robbing, looting people, killing people, even the law enforcement, which that was all a staged event. But yeah, they should be like madmen sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. That's the 12 tribes, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. For they shall waste and take away their goods. That was happening during Hurricane Katrina. They was kicking in people's doors, taking their women, taking their food, taking whatever they wanted. But they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. That's already happening. ICE has already been snatching up so-called Mexicans out of their house, out of work, out of school, off the farms. They was doing that before their military budget. What they about to do after? Then they shall know who are my chosen. And they shall be tried as gold in the fire. They gonna know who the chosen are, because the Lord gonna lift up that standard. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand. These are the days of Jacob's trouble. It's at hand and it's already here. It ain't gonna disappear, it's only gonna get worse. But I will deliver you from the same. And we know Jeremiah 30:7 say that he, meaning the elect of Jacob, is gonna be saved out of it. Now I'm gonna get this last one. This is the book of Revelation 12:17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman. Who does the dragon represent? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. In this case, it would be Trump. And the woman represents Israel and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. which keep the commandments of the Most High and had the testimony of Yahweh Shah. So ultimately, Trump, Esau the white man, America, the ultimate goal is to make war with the elect, those who got this truth. And how do you make war? It's with your military. That's why the military is out, to make war with the remnant who should be the elect. So all this talk, they're going to send in the National Guard and the military to help with ICE raids and deportations. They're going to federalize the police, send the National Guard to clean up the drug addicts and the homeless, send the military to get the criminals and the drug dealers. That's all a cover up. Who they want is the 12 tribes. More specifically, the elect. Those who keep the commandments of Yahweh, got the testimony of Yahweh Shah. So everything that we see taking place with the undocumented immigrants, everything you see happening with the homeless, with the drug addicts, with the criminals, everything that you see just happening in the streets of America, of people being harassed, snatched up, etc., that's going to be happening. They're going to bring that same energy to us believers. All they got to do is pass a few more executive orders, change the laws a little bit, make certain things illegal, like being free thinkers, outspoken ministers, speaking against the fake Jews or speaking against what Trump is doing, speaking of what they call conspiracy theory. They're going to criminalize all that stuff, and they're going to be after us next. Especially things that we post that's against America and anything that has to do with America. They're going to criminalize that, and everything we see happening, they're going to bring it our way. But that is why the scriptures say we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. So we see this devil a mile away what he's doing. We know Trump don't give a damn about no criminals, about no homeless. He's inching closer and closer to the elect, those of us that got this truth. He's like a snake that's slowly slithering. He's not going to just charge you full speed. He's going to slowly slither and get closer and closer, inch by inch. And that's what he's doing by targeting different people. He eventually going to make his way towards us. So, Lord willing, that was informative, edifying. Till next time. Shalom.